Welcome to Local Global Local, or LGL. This course is going to be the 200 level iteration of MBS. That was the Mathematics Behind Sanctification course. And we're going to pick up where we left off. But where we left off, we had situated an agent within a system. And we distinguish between a local and a global lens of analysis. So at the local, there's the individual. The global is whatever group they're involved in. And then the local would be them again. And we just traced how actions can move from one level to the next and collaborate to create emergent behavior. So in this course, what we're going to do is look at that local actor on that local level and discuss what exactly is within your agency to do. There's going to be a series of these lectures covering different activities that can be done and using scripture to shine light on what these different activities may be. Today, we're going to be talking about accumulation. Slow, gradual, small accumulation of agency, of decisions that you made, propelling you forward into a new condition. Well, I want to break down what I mean by accumulation first. So on the most simple level, accumulate 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. Slowly, your total grows. The second factor I want to look at is going to be a change in disposition. So we worked with this with the concept of a feedback loop where your behavior changes your state from where you act again. And scripture does a lot to inform us about this change in disposition on the level of the heart. So softening one's heart, hardening one's heart. Pharaoh hardened his heart. And this becomes the station by which you choose, by which your actions propagate. And then finally, I want to talk about opportunity costs. This is a concept from economics. It basically suggests that for every action you do, you have to factor in the cost of not just not doing it, but the cost of doing something else instead. Well, I think we can all become familiar with these once we strip down the conceptual behind it and start thinking about it in terms of actual behaviors we can undergo. Accumulate 1 plus 1 plus 1. Something as simple as spending more time off your phone. Or disposition, feedback. If you're totally black-pilled, and you go to white pill, that's going to change how you act, how you treat people, the kind of friends you seek. And opportunity cost, the cost of not doing the small stuff, gives you more time to do good small stuff, and eventually you wind up with an entirely different life that you have chosen instead of the life you were previously living. So going quickly to scripture, I want to talk about Nehemiah. Nehemiah in the Old Testament was given the chance by the king he served to rebuild the temple walls. And this was a really big deal. The temple walls were positioned not only of defending the temple, but of pride in the nation of Israel. And he was given the opportunity to repair these walls. And we see in chapter 3 that there were different groups of people responsible for each section of the wall. So one was built, then the next was built, then the next was built, then the next was built, until chapter 4, verse 6, due to the results of all their hard work, they had already built the whole thing halfway. Now, let's take these operating mechanisms and put them all into a story that is easy to understand. So let's say our main character, Jim, he's in college, he's a sophomore, and he just got dumped. It was a girl he was dating from his freshman year until that point, and he thought things were going very well, but apparently they were not. So this would be the valley, putting him at the bottom of the valley. And then we find that Jim starts to dig his hole deeper. So he begins to take self-destructive actions. He's immediately cruising the bars looking for a rebound girl. And this frustrates him. It ultimately makes him feel more and more isolated, and it leads to increasingly negative amounts of drinking. At night, he is distracting himself from the whole situation, binging screens, doing everything he can to prevent himself from being able to take or have a single thought about the whole situation, and this leads to a general disposition of apathy. So he spends more time scrolling than he does at the gym, or more time scrolling than he does working on his school assignments, or more time scrolling than he does really doing anything. Well, this is the position that we find our main character Jim in, and let's run it through these three different models that we can begin to accumulate through agency. So 1 + 1 + 1. Jim starts to take out the bad things. So scrolling a little less, drinking a little less, spending a little less time out and about with the wrong people, spending a little bit more time with his friends, spending a little bit more time talking to that cute girl in his chemistry class in a constructive setting, not a destructive setting. Now we see the tables are starting to turn. His disposition is slowly starting to change. Jim stops seeing the world as so glass half empty and start looking at it a little bit glass half full. And he's had dreams of being an entrepreneur really since he was in high school, and he was really serious on the YouTube podcast grind, the idea phase. And this is something that he completely left behind when the breakup happened. And then he finds himself sort of navigating back to those same channels, those same inputs, those same commentators, those same ideas, that same level of energy. Now the energy is growing. And then suddenly, Jim finds himself with a completely new life. So not only did he remove the bad that was costing him, he took away this old life, and then the opportunity cost bought the new life effectively. So he took a huge negative off his balance sheet and added a huge positive to it. I think accumulation is as simple as that. No matter where you are in life, no matter what valley you may have found yourself in, the way to start building a way out is, on its face, simple. In practice can be very difficult, but on its face, very simple. Start with the small accumulations, the 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. You start to roll that into a change mood, change attitude, better disposition. Now you're looking at the world more positively. And ultimately, the more you get rid of the old, the negatives, the more space you have to live that positive lifestyle. Thank you, and God bless.